Took the midnight train going anywhere. He's leaving, leaving on that midnight train to Georgia. Leaving on the midnight train, baby, on a downtown train. Come on, baby, let's go listen to the night train. Come on, baby. Chugga, motion like a railroad train now. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
Sounds like the chapters wrap.
Hey you! This is Dance Reaction. Let's go to the disco vibe train. Have a nice trip. I'm on a train. I met a dame. She was a hester. On a rock of fame. She was pretty from New York City. The train kept going all night long. The train kept going all night long. The train kept going all night long.
West Train to London. Just heading out. Be sure to get your ticket. Here, don't you miss it.
Don't touch that dial. The chapters wrap with psychologist Steve Vaccaro starts now.
Everybody join in. Start a love tree. People all over now. Join in. Love ride. Start a love train.
We have that ticket now for that love train, and Assemblywoman Michaelle Solages, welcome to the show.
It's nice to be back on the love train. Yes.
There we go. A little intro now. We're doing a lot of radio stuff and cable TV stuff. So first of all, I want to thank you for the amazing work that you do in the community. And for 10 years now and beyond, you have been there through thick and thin during the pandemic. And now you keep doing what you do best, is empower, inspire others to be the best they possibly can be. So thank you, Assemblywoman Michaelle Solages.
Oh, well, thank you so much for allowing me to be on this program and to just collaborate with you. You've always been in the community, whether giving out toys, food, love and support. So it's just a pleasure to collaborate with the chapters wrap and with you, Steve, as well.
That's right. This is a special edition because Election Day is tomorrow, and we want everybody to go out and vote, no matter what that is, right?
Exactly. It's so important that we exercise our right to vote. So we're just encouraging everyone out there, if you have a candidate that you like, go out and vote for them. And, if you like me too, you can go out and vote for me as well.
There we go. But before we start, life is kind of like a moment in time. And I think that your moment for District 22 has been for the last 10 years. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But let's check out this little video that I put together, or we have found, about being Mr. Jensen. Let's check this out and tell me your thoughts when we see it together.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." And so I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "No, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." From that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me and he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
You know what? This show and my whole career is always looking at the strengths of people and not always targeting the weaknesses or the challenges that we have. And I believe, Assemblywoman, that you do the same thing in your community. Would you say that's true?
Well, that's so profound. I try every day to make sure that we, give back. So, that was a beautiful video. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that, we were looking through some of the archives here. You weren't always the Assemblywoman. You came up as a librarian. And
Yes.
You went to Hofstra University, born and raised in Elmont. You're a resident there. Talk about your early days of being a librarian.
So, I graduated school during the Great Recession, 2018, the whole economy crashed and, I went to school for health services and I couldn't find a job. And so I went to the only place I knew in the world, and it was a library. So I went and I actually got a job there. And it was, always an amazing experience being able to, be that supervisor of access services. So I made sure that people had access to, circulation. So when you check out books, I was there, periodicals, archives. I did it all in access services. And it was really a humbling time because it allowed me to hone in on my patience, on my ability to help people, and also my learning of research and making sure that we look at, we read, and we investigate, and we find the best avenues to really help people and lift up communities.
And we have a couple of quotes we want to pop up on the screen about librarians because I think they got underrated. I know you spent a lot of time at the Elmont Library.
Yeah.
Librarians have always been among the most thoughtful and helpful people. They're teachers without a classroom.
That is true. Yeah.
And Google could bring you back 100,000 answers as a librarian, can bring you back to the right one. What do you think?
That's church. Amen to that. Yeah.
And be a searcher, be a protector, be open, be confident, be brave. I mean, these are just quotes that librarians live by, but we take them for granted, especially in this day and age. But I have 2 books I haven't returned since 1987. What do I do? Do I take it back, or what should I do?
So you wait for the period in which they have the forgiveness,
Yes,
the amnesty.
yes.
You can go back
That's
and
right.
return them, or you could pay the fees. They might be capped. Hopefully,
Right. I'm hoping they're capped. But anyway, 2012, when you were inducted and you were brought into service in District 22, which oversees Valley Stream, Floral Park, Elmont, Belrose, parts of Woodmere, and different towns as well. What were your thoughts back then when you first became into office?
So if you told me about 10 years ago that I was going to become an elected official, I would tell you you're crazy. I always thought, a politician was someone who went out and spoke a lot, was able to, do certain things that were, like you saw in the movies. And, I had literally 5 to 10 people come up to me and say, you need to run for office. You need to help our community. And, luckily I had such a great nucleus of people who surrounded me, who cornered me and said that you need to run for office. And so I did that. And, it was one of the best decisions in my life. I have the ability now to really impact the community, to get on the ground, boots on the ground, and help individuals and be, that public servant that is sorely needed in government. We see a lot of people who have this distrust of government. And so I always tell them, we do government different in my office. And I thank my team and my staff. I couldn't do it without them. They help me do government in the way that it's supposed to be, which is, being that honorable individual and being that individual who is on the ground, talking to the people and connecting with the individuals, with the neighbor in the neighborhood.
Now, you're also the first woman of Haitian descent to be in the assembly. That is an honor. And how do you feel about that? Because we have, actually, before you say something, we have a little clip of you speaking to that. And we're going to play that so our viewers and listeners can check it out, what I'm talking about.
So this is your first race, then, too, your first office.
I was a librarian before this.
You were a librarian.
So yeah, librarians. Woo, go libraries. And I just ran because
was there something that made you mad? What got you to be able to move behind the stacks and out into the public?
I like that one. I gotta use it. At first, I was always telling people I was very afraid to speak in public. I was always apprehensive that people didn't want to hear what I wanted to hear or what to say. And so what got me to really move was that there weren't issues that people weren't talking about. There were issues like education and providing universal pre-K to a younger generation. And it just upset me that these issues weren't being discussed. And so that really motivated me to run.
Greetings, everyone, my colleagues and Mr. Speaker. Today, we recognize Haitian Unity Day within the month of Haitian Heritage Month. Just this Saturday, we celebrated Haitian Flag Day, which commemorates the Haitian flag. And as always, every year we bring up many constituents from different areas, from Long Island to Rockland County to Brooklyn, all over to come and celebrate our Haitian culture. And so every year it gets bigger and better. And this year we did a new spin on it. Anyone notice my outfit? We decided that we want to dress in our cultural attire. And so you'll see the fabulous 4 women, and May Clyde, are wearing a nice cultural dress to commemorate our Haitian culture. Me and our Assemblywoman was styled by Kimberly Charles from Phoenix Refined, which is New York City's only masquerade camp. So I want to give her a shout out for doing this nice head tie, otherwise I would not be able to do it. But like I said, every year it gets bigger and better, but with that we also have many more challenges. As policies are dictating and hurting our immigrant communities, we have to stand up and make sure that we push back against policies that hurt our families, that separates our families. As you know, Black immigrants are more likely to be deported. They have less access to legal services. And so we need to ensure that our Haitian community is protected, and we are doing that with so many pieces of legislation. And so we rise today in unison to tell the Haitian American community that we stand firm and we're united, to tell our TPS holders that we are here to protect you, and you are New Yorkers just like everyone else.
and we stand united as one to celebrate all cultures, because New York is the melting pot, and it is great because we are diverse. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, I mean, what I love. Yeah, there we go. But you know what it is about? I mean, the district that you serve is probably one of the most diverse districts on Long Island, probably in New York State. I mean, how is that for you? Is that energizing? Is that challenging? What is it for you?
It's energizing. I gain a lot of weight because every time I go someplace, you know, the immigrant spirit always wants to feed you. So you know, it's sometimes, you know, gluttonous. But at the end of the day, it reminds me of just how beautiful New York is, and that from, you know, I can go from Floral Park all the way down to North Woodmere and interact with really so many different people from around the world who have chosen to pick, you know, that portion of Long Island as their home. So it's great. I love the diversity in the community, and there are many people who move into like places like Valley Stream because they want to raise their kids in that diversity. And so you know, it's just ever so exciting to represent such an area as the 22nd Assembly District.
Yeah, for the last 10 years, we certainly have seen a lot. Hurricane Sandy, the pandemic, and we've done a lot of work together over the years. I've always admired what you've done. You've come out to bagel shops, to churches, to community events. We've supported Long Island Cares. You brought on Laura Curran a couple of times, and you've given me awards. You've gotten awards. I can't thank you enough for all the amazing work that you've done.
Look at that,
over the last 10 years, and allowing me to have a platform to share that with more people.
Yes. Well, the love train is always, you know, able to carry so many people. So we got to get them on board, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, 2022, we're in November already. What's your 3 biggest achievements that you've accomplished in this year?
So we have advocated a lot for universal pre-K. As I mentioned before in that video, Long Island actually had the lowest amount of pre-K slots throughout the whole state. And so when we mean slots, we mean that publicly funded slots. So if you have a 4-year-old, you would have to pay for education for them while you wait to go to kindergarten, you know? So, and we know that early learning is such a good thing for young people. When we put young people in school sooner, and infants and toddlers and babies in an educational atmosphere, their brain grows exponentially. And then not only do their brains grow, but also they are more likely to be better citizens. We see the rate of them going into the criminal justice system decrease significantly. We see them going through poverty or foster care decrease significantly. And so in Long Island, we didn't have access to that publicly funded pre-K. So this year, we were actually able to increase the amount of slots on Long Island, which is huge. For our area, we had hundreds of 4-year-olds actually be able to go to school and have access to a full day program. And so I was actually the benefactor of that. My daughter was going to pre-K this year, and this is the first time ever that the elementary school had a full day program for pre-K. And it was amazing, and you could see so many of the parents were relieved, not only because their child was going to be in a high quality educational environment, but the fact is that they didn't have to pay for it. And you know that childcare is very expensive, pre-K is very expensive. On average, it's about $10,000 to $18,000 for pre-K slots here on Long Island. So we're saving families money. And second, another big achievement is actually increasing the amount of childcare slots. So this budget cycle, we invested about $2 billion over 3 years into childcare. So parents now who have young kids, they can have a place and have slots available so that they can go to work. Now, they don't have to choose between work and childcare. They could have both. And in addition, we were actually able to give raises to childcare workers. So you know that many of these childcare workers, these pre-K teachers, they make poverty wages. It's insane. They are making minimum wage. And so in the budget this year, we were actually able to give them a wage increase so that they could afford life while taking care of our young people. So that was really exciting. And the third thing I think that was really a crowning achievement for myself is, this is an issue that I wasn't really knowledgeable about, which was energy. We heard, energy, gas, oil, utilities, we used to, in my house, the water bill was the best bill to open up because it was so cheap, right?
Yeah.
But now with the pandemic and the increase in cost, all utilities are going up, and it's a global problem all over the world. We're in an energy crisis, and as we transition to renewables, we're in this period where it's a bit expensive. So we were actually able to implement a program for people to pay off their utility bills that they were behind during COVID. So we invested millions of dollars, and we've targeted low-income families that had utility arrears or utility debt, and we were able to get it wiped. And so there's further conversations about enhancing that bill and doing more next year to talk about people who are behind on their utilities. But it was at least, we were able to focus on an issue that really wasn't, a kitchen table issue that wasn't really focused on. And so next year, I hope to move forward and talk more about energy efficiency and energy affordability. And it's something that, it's timely, as you see, National Grid is claiming that the price of gas is going to increase 29%. And that's due to the global climate. And so how can we make energy more affordable, more accessible? How can we get sustainable energy into people's homes at an affordable rate? These are all conversations I look forward to having.
Wow. This is the Chapters Wrap live Monday night, the night before Election Day. We're talking to exclusive interview with Assemblywoman Michaelle Solages, District 22, and she's getting geared up for Election Day. It's going to be an exciting day tomorrow, right?
It's a very busy day. My team is preparing, but the polls open at 6 a.m. and close at 9 p.m. And that's your last chance to vote. So in New York State, we had early voting that ended on Sunday. And so now in elections, you can vote early, 7 to 9 days beforehand, but you lost that chance. So now the only opportunity for you to go out and vote is on Tuesday, November 8th. And so it's a very contested election. We have the governor, we have the U.S. Senate, we have Attorney General, Comptroller, many statewide positions. We have judicial positions that are open. And then we have also a state Senate and state assembly positions that are open. And I'm running for re-election in the state assembly.
Very nice, very nice. Now, a couple of things you either mentioned or you didn't mention that you've been involved with. Some of the things, we have a couple of things we want to pop up on the screen so people see what you've been working on or have been working on.
Yes.
COVID-19 relief, small business assistance. Talk about that for a moment.
The lifeblood of our community is small businesses, and they're struggling with COVID and with, the recovery. And so we were able to allocate monies for small business recovery. There's also now a current program about seed money for businesses who are opening up or who are who began or who are younger than a year or are not, more than a year old. And so, we've infused a lot of money into making sure that we could stabilize small businesses in our community so that they could thrive, and I tell people, don't shop the big box, shop local, because that's where you make an impact in your community. Every dollar you spend in a local business circulates 7 times before it leaves the community.
Wow. Well said. Well said. There's been more efforts you've been involved with too. We're going to pop another one up on the screen. Health fair. I mean, it's important for you to reach out to others in that way as well.
Healthcare is another important issue to me. I'm a member of the health committee, and I always tell people health is wellness. If you ever had a bad neck, it is debilitating. And we see now more than ever, there are so many families suffering with medical debt. It's the second biggest form of debt after credit card debt. And so, we need to make sure we tackle that. There are many proposals on the table. Like for me, I love the New York Health Act, which is kind of like single payer healthcare. It's like universal healthcare. So you just go to the doctor and let the insurance companies and the doctors argue about who pays for the bill. You just need to go and get well. And so I'm really big supporter of universal healthcare, but I don't know if we can get there now, but I look forward to working on ways that we can make it so that insurance companies are not dictating care. And we're also fighting for a bill that actually does insurance coverage for hearing aids. So I know Debbie Mayford, a good friend of yours, very big with the hearing aids and hearing assistance. And so next year we are pushing hard for a bill that would actually cover a certain amount of hearing aids.
That is wonderful. Debbie Mayford is one of the greatest advocates in your district, and she is amazing person. We have one more person, one more event and thing that you were working on: free child car seat safety inspection. Talk about that.
So I know I'm a mother of 3, all age 7. Those car seats are very important. They're a lifesaver, but it's very difficult to install. I don't know if anyone's installed a car seat. Yes. And so, it's very simple. We've had many of our workshops where people just drive through, they open their doors, and a professional gives you some tips and tricks and inspects your car seats to make sure that it's well installed. And so I've learned so much. I thought it was simply buckle it in, tighten it up, and walk away. But car seats expire. Car seats, if you put like shirts or other things on it, they move, and there's a potential, like if you put a big jacket on your child and put them in a car seat, there's a potential that they can fall out during an accident. So this little workshop is just basically helping people understand the schematics of a car seat, which might sound crazy to the normal person, but for a family, we have to make sure that our young people are protected. And having access to expert is it's really cool. They provide a lot of good information.
Yeah, no doubt. I had to take a young one recently. I was babysitting, a 5-minute trip to the supermarket, but it took me 45 minutes to install the car seat.
It's intense, especially the younger they are, the more intense and more involved is the car seat. And now there's so many different types of car seats now. There's ones with the tumble bars and a sidebar, and then there's the ones that a 1 in 10. It's I think you need a little college degree in order to install some of those seats.
Well, your children 7, 4, and 18 months, you'll be getting a good experience with that.
Yeah. So my son's in a booster seat finally, so it's much better. But I had to buy a bigger car. I just recently had a baby 18 months ago. And I had to buy a bigger car because I couldn't fit all the 3 car seats in the back.
Wow, that is funny. Let's get back to the work. Is there a bill out there that last session that will change people's lives that people might not know about? So
we actually passed a bill that provided lactation accommodations for mothers at airports. And so I don't know if people have traveled, especially when you are providing, human breast milk to your child. And we all know breastfeeding is not easy. That it's so difficult to breastfeed, and when you travel without your child, it's even more difficult to find a place to pump that breast milk. And so in an airport, there was for me, when I went to the airport one time, the only option was a bathroom. They were like, go into the bathroom stall and pump. And I don't want to pump where you use the restroom. So, I passed a bill that would mandate lactation accommodation in airports. So all airports are going to have a room with a sink. It's mandated. So there needs to be a sink and other accommodations like a chair and a private area for mothers who want to pump or feed their children. And it's exciting because, as I said before, the rates of breastfeeding are so low among women that we need to do whatever we can to encourage them to breastfeed. And this saves lives. Being able to breastfeed is good for the child, is good for the mother, and it's just good for society. And if you're not able to breastfeed, no matter what, as long as you're providing nutrition to your child, you are a great mother. And so we need to make sure that we're providing accommodations for all mothers.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful bill because it's so important. I mean, cognitively, children that are raised with being breastfed or are more their strengths, their verbal skills, and their nonverbal skills improve significantly. And I remember back in the day when my young daughter was young, my wife was working overnight as a pharmacist, and she pumped, and there was 1 bag of milk left in the freezer. It was in the middle of the night. She was working overnight. I was half asleep. I was carrying my little daughter Giovanna. I put the bag in the pot to boil. I got it out. I had my daughter in my hand. She was crying, and I tried to put it on the bottle, and it fell on the floor.
Oh no! This is the biggest nightmare.
I could see my face and her face looking at it on the floor. We looked at each other, and she started to cry. I had to get her in the car seat, strapped up correctly, drive to the hospital where my wife was working, and then breastfed her there. So I know those trials and tribulations. I'm a guy, but for a woman, that's so very important.
They don't call it liquid gold for no reason.
That's right.
Every
right.
ounce matters, really.
That's right.
But right. I know the feeling. That's a funny story.
Oh my goodness! It was in the middle of the night, and I thought I had it under control. I got this, and
and you're really tired as a parent.
So
you're exhausted.
The baby shake, like rocking the baby.
And especially for the mother, the baby does want nothing to do with the father. It wants the mother.
No, that's it. Now, crime in New York State continues to rise. People are talking about it. What is the state doing to address crime right now?
So we're doing a lot, and there's this, rhetoric going around that we're not handling crime, and I just want to tell the audience right now that is false. In New York State, we have implemented many programs to actually tackle the root causes of crime. Because at the end of the day, if you just keep incarcerating individuals, you're not helping the system. You're just creating a new class of criminals that when they get out, they have no skill set, they don't have anything to live for, and they go back to doing crime. And so we've implemented social justice programs to actually help with tackling of crime. And we have to also take it with a grain of salt. Right now, our society, we went through a global pandemic, an economic downturn, a housing crisis, an affordability crisis. And so a lot is going on. And so crime that we see right now is crime that, with all that's going on, is crime that's happening. So how do we help the individuals right now who are doing those crimes? So many of those individuals are suffering under substance abuse. They are mentally in a state of crisis, and also they lack housing. And so as elected officials, we are tackling those issues. So first, when it comes to substance abuse, we actually have implemented programs in the criminal justice system that would provide these people to go before a treatment court. So instead of going through the regular judicial system, these people are now able to get the treatment that they deserve. When it comes to those who are mentally not well and are in crisis, we are providing beds for these individuals. We're trying to provide support. It's been very difficult to try to get these people off the street because there's certain laws that have been implemented that say that we can't just grab these people and put them in a solitary confinement center, in the sense like a psychiatric center. We have to actually convince these individuals to seek help and treatment. And we have crisis centers, and crisis individuals are going out and doing that work. But it's not overnight work that can be done with a light switch. It's really trusting and building. When it comes to gun violence, we are actually tackling gun violence by going to the root causes of gun violence. So we funded crisis centers and violence interrupters to actually go into communities and talk to these people who are committing these acts of gun violence. And we're saying to them, and many of these people are young people. Remember, these young people have gone through such stress. Right. They're expressing themselves in a way that they're expressing themselves in violence. And these violence interceptors are actually talking to them and trying to get them off the streets and get them into a positive role. And they've been successful. Gun violence has actually decreased in New York State. And I tell people always say, a lot of crimes happening in New York City. But if you look at many other states, like for instance, Florida, they actually have more crime and violence than in New York City. Right. So we have to, there's fear mongering going on. And I don't want to dissuade, or I don't want to, minimize anyone's fear or anything, but the facts are the facts. New York State is very safe. Nassau County, we are one of the safest counties in the country. And so, if you want to talk to me about, really tackling public safety, I'm willing to do that. But right now we see the other side is using a lot of rhetoric, and their solution is just incarcerating people. And that doesn't work. We've seen that mass incarceration doesn't work. But what does work is actually meeting people where they are and providing them with the support and treatment that they deserve.
It's well said. I think there is a misnomer there that, people always tend to look at New York State, New York City, as the crime capital of the world, and that's not true because there's so many things that have changed. And you brought up the state of Florida, and which at times there are other states that are more liberal that are looking at different things that are challenged. We just don't hear about it because of the stereotype that New York has had. This is the Chapters Wrap live here, Monday night edition. Election day is tomorrow. We have Assemblywoman Michaelle Solages, District 22. She's been in office for 10 years now. Now, Assemblywoman, the top priorities for the next session, what do you see that's going to be occurring?
There's a lot of good things that we have on the horizon that we're fighting for. I mentioned the hearing aids, and also energy affordability. And just right now, we're tackling the affordability issue. I think, we have a lot that we need to work on, a lot of global pressures being put on a state. And so we are just looking at ways that we can help. But the biggest thing that you could do also to help us is that on the back of your ballot tomorrow, when you go out and vote, if you haven't voted, you got to flip over the ballot. There's actually a referendum that we would allocate money, ask the taxpayer to allocate monies for environmental initiatives. So clean air, clean water, and climate jobs, and building up renewable infrastructure. And so we want to allocate, billions of dollars to start tackling the climate crisis, which is something that we need to do. I was just in the Adirondacks about a month ago, and I met with scientists who are talking about how we've tackled air pollution. And actually the rates of air pollution are down from the 80s and 90s because we made a concentrated effort in reducing air pollution. We just got to do the same thing when it comes to our water. Our water is polluted with forever chemicals, with 1,4-dioxane, and we need to make sure that we're giving the water companies enough money to get those dirty chemicals out of the water. And so I tell people, flip the ballot, vote yes on proposition number 1, and that will enable us next year to allocate monies to make sure that you have clean air, clean water, public spaces, and green jobs of the future.
Now, many people are outraged that the Supreme Court struck down the Roe decision.
Yeah.
How has New York reacted to that?
Yeah. So in New York, we've codified a woman's right to choose. And I wholly believe that is a decision between a woman, their doctor, and their higher being, or their God. I think that government should not intervene into that procedure, especially as women are getting older and they're using IVF treatment and other means to become pregnant. It's so important that we ensure that women have a medical option if they need to be able to protect themselves, their bodies, or to be able to make sure that they can have children in the future. In New York State, a woman's right to choose is protected, and that should be the law of the land everywhere across this great land in America. So, the Dobbs decision was very disappointing, and in New York we're sort of protected. But I tell people, you can't take that for granted, because there are a lot of programs implemented in New York State that allow women to have medical procedures that are necessary, and a governor that comes in who is not supportive of, or is not pro-choice, who is pro-life, can easily enact and limit your right to having an abortion or medical procedure that you need.
Now, Assemblywoman, it's very diverse. We talked about that in your district. When you are out walking from town to town, community to community, when you have controversial topics like this or other ones, and people have differing thoughts or opinions, do you empower? Do you want to hear them, or are you a person that shuts it down?
No, I want to hear what people have to say, because I represent diverse voices. I tell people I'm here to listen to you, and I want to have a good dialogue. I just hate when people yell, scream, are aggressive. There's no need. I'm here to listen. If you want my time, you're welcome to have my time. You can sit down. You can talk to me. I'm open to that. I just tell people that, we are we have to just have that communication. And so if there's any bills, proposals, budget allocation that you don't support, feel free to call my office and speak to myself or my staff, and we want to hear.
And we have that website throughout the whole show so people can contact you. And there we go, right down on there.
Yeah.
We've built up our game a little bit here.
Yeah, I like it.
But you know what? You spend a lot of time in Albany. How important is to lobby and to connect with the folks that you represent, but also to share their feelings, their voices with the folks up in Albany?
Government is a participation sport. It requires the masses, New Yorkers, to participate. And it's so important that you're involved. And so I encourage everyone to take one topic that they care about and drive up to Albany when we're in session from January to June and come lobby us and talk to us, And when you're advocating, if you're a citizen advocating, it's not really lobbying, you're just advocating for yourself. And so we tell people, come to Albany, advocate for issues, or if you don't want to take the drive, come to my district office, 6090 Central Court, and you can, talk to us about what you want and what you need.
That's right. Now, you represent so many people in so many different towns. I'm going to pick out one town, Valley Stream, because I live in it.
Yeah.
And we have a little video to show our viewers out there, Valley Stream, what's going on there, and one of the towns that you represent and you advocate and empower people. Let's check out what it is like to be and to live in Valley Stream.
Hello, I'm Mayor Ed Fair of the Incorporated Village of Valley Stream. Valley Stream was settled in 1843 and incorporated in 1925. Valley Stream certainly boasts a rich history. As a matter of fact, in the 1800s, the Long Island Railroad established one of its first major train junctions right here in our very own village of Valley Stream. Today, we boast 3 modern Long Island Railroad stations, providing regular access to New York City, downtown Brooklyn, and John F. Kennedy Airport just minutes away. About 38,000 people reside in Valley Stream. Although it is a mere 30 minutes away from Midtown Manhattan, Valley Stream is truly a suburban oasis, rich in recreational, social, and community character. We are home to more than 100 acres of beautiful parkland, affording our residents lots of green open spaces. From baseball and soccer fields to basketball and tennis courts, a miniature golf course, summer recreation programs at Barrett Park, and a fantastic state-of-the-art pool complex, recreational opportunities for all ages abound. Our thriving downtown business district is enjoying a renewed energy thanks to the various new mixed-use apartment complexes that are being built around our railroad stations. We are welcoming many new residents into our village and invite them to take part in all that our bustling community has to offer. I am proud to note that our cultural, performing, and fine arts programming is expanding here in Valley Stream. From summer concerts on the Village Green to a wealth of enriching activities for children and adults, Valley Stream is fast becoming an oasis of the arts. Our village staff works hard to provide great services for every aspect of life in Valley Stream. Our sanitation, highway, parks, and maintenance crews all work together to see that our quality of life is maintained. Abounding in civic spirit, Valley Stream is fortunate to have a uniquely dedicated group of citizens who donate their time and talents to the betterment of our community. Our village volunteers include the members of the Historical Society, the brave men and women of the fire department, first-rate auxiliary police and civilian patrols. We have active veterans groups and organizations catering to residents of all ages, from our youth council to our Silver Threads senior program. As a lifelong third-generation Valley Streamer, I'm proud to call this village my home. The village board and I urge you to take advantage of everything Valley Stream has to offer.
What do you think?
Valley Stream is such a tight-knit community. It's like a small town in like the middle of like a big area. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and you know what? Valley Stream, I think, is only the town in Long Island that has 3 high schools, North, South, and Central, and those are districts that you cover. And I know that you also cover a lot of other amazing towns too. I had to pick one. I had to go with Valley Stream, but
I
but
like
you're
Valley Stream.
yeah, but you're born and raised in Elmont. You live there, and talk about the other towns in your district.
So there's many other towns like we have. I'll talk about Floral Park, which is a town built on as the name denotes, flowers and garden, and it's a beautiful town. I have Stewart Manor. I also have North Widmere, South Valley Stream, that's out of the village of Valley Stream. And then Elmont, which is my hometown, which is just a great community. It's home to Belmont Park, which is like the third greatest racetrack in the country. And now also the UBS Arena, which is home to the Islanders. So it's exciting that we have such great amenities. And like we said before, the diversity of Elmont is amazing. You know, we have all types of communities, from the Italian community to the South Asian community to the Black community that reside in Elmont, and they bring their unique, cultures and music and food to such an area.
Right.
It's actually really nice, you know?
Yeah, no, I love Elmont. My grandparents went from Brooklyn. They moved to Elmont back in the day, and on Village Avenue there, right near the high school. And I have so many wonderful memories of Elmont and this area. And I think someone like yourself, to be so in touch with your constituents and the communities, it's so very important, because times are challenging for a lot of people. Money is tight.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is such a great area, because you're talking about a half hour from New York City, basically, and a half hour from Jones Beach and the beaches. So we have a lot to offer, and to empower and to advocate for everybody within your district is a big job.
Yeah. It's at times it's you are, amazed that, I'm amazed that I represent a beautiful community. And every day I wake up, I say, what can I do to help empower and improve the life of the people within the 22nd Assembly District? And so it's always an honor to represent people. And I hope they continue to support me as I run for reelection and I'm on the ballot. So, it's just work that needs to be done. And as now I'm a deputy majority leader in the state assembly. So I'm very high in leadership. I'm also chair of the Black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Asian Caucus, which is the largest organized group of individuals in the state legislature. It's comprised of both the Assembly and the Senate. So, I have the ability to, bridge people's differences and diversity and get us all to work together for a common cause, which is, to advance New York, to advance Long Island, to advance people.
That's right. This is the Chapters Wrap Monday Night Live special edition. Exclusive interview with Assemblywoman Michaelle Solages, District 22. She's been in office since 2012. She wants to do way more than that.
Yeah.
Are you still as passionate today as you were 10 years ago?
I think I'm way more passionate than I was 10 years ago. When I was first elected, a lot of this is new. You don't know the process. They don't give you a manual when you go to the assembly. It's not like they tell you how to pass a bill or how to advocate for your community. It's something that you have to learn. And so I truly believe that you need, a lot of experience and knowledge. And I'm grateful that in this time and space, as us going through COVID, going through the climate crisis, I'm experienced enough to be able to extract resources and bring them back to our community. Like, for example, the Southern State is such a dangerous parkway. And there was exit 13 that I was able to get $20 million to actually redo exit 13. And I was able to get that because I understood that the federal government gave the state money, and I was able to leverage my position and my abilities and get resources for the area. And so now we're going to make our streets safer for our communities. And so, you need experience in this position. You need to know how to do it. And it's important to have people in those positions that have experience that can get, grants and other initiatives down from Albany into local communities.
Well said. I mean, that exit 13 area always needs a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so happy that you are keen on that and targeting that, because you're spot on. It's the safety that's very, very important for families and children that are right there and in the complete district. And, again, sometimes people say, "What have you done for me lately?"
Oh,
So
yeah.
you might have said some of this, but what did you do this summer, and how did that transition into what's going on today?
So we're constantly working. I love my staff because they are as passionate as I am and in serving the community. So, our position as a lawmaker, I'm in Albany from January to June. And so from the end of June to December, we do a lot of work within the community. So we've held a lot of workshops. We held a lot of initiatives to help individuals, like job training, informational, forums. And lately, we've actually been trying to get people to know whether they have STAR and other tax relief programs, property tax relief programs. So we made an aggressive push this summer, going door to door and mailing seniors and other individuals in the community and determining if they had STAR or other property tax relief programs that was available to them. And so that was great. We were able to save, homeowners at least like $500,000. No, it was $500 million, $500,000 we calculated in property tax savings through our office. And so, we're going to continue doing that because it's important that people know that these programs are available and accessible to them.
Wow, that's wonderful. A couple more questions, and we'll let you go. I know you're very busy, and last night
I'll stay here all day with you, Steve. You're awesome. Yeah.
Great, right? Okay, so we'll get 3 more hours. How's that?
Yeah. We can do a sing along, right?
Let me ask you some questions. Who has been the most inspirational person to you? Who did you look up growing up, and who really was that person or people that really inspired you?
Steve, you're super inspirational to me. I just want to let you know.
I'm
going to give a personal privilege because your drive and your ability to really help individuals and, talk about the issues that are important and bring people in the room, because you seem to know everybody. I'm just impressed. You seem to know everybody, and Yankees too. I'm a Yankees fan.
Yeah,
I'm impressed that you know a lot of Yankees, players. So I want to put it on the table. I'm very, very, impressed, and I look up to you.
Thank
Thank
you
you for what you do. And, I look up to, whether it's, people who have gone, who've passed, like Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Maya Angelou, these are people I look up to. And, currently living, I look up to my mom. My mom moved here in the 70s for a better life. And she, worked very hard, and she raised kids, and, she sacrificed so much for us to be able to be where we are. And so every day I'm so thankful for what she does. And so literally I try to spend as much time with my mom as possible because, she's just an inspiration. It shows you that, this is the American story. This is America, where you can come here and you have the opportunity to flourish and grow if you, work hard and if you, do the right things. And, every day, I do that. One of the moments that I love when I was a child was seeing her sworn in as an American citizen. I remember I was sleeping through half of the ceremony, but I woke up just in time for her to take the oath. And that's like imprinted in my brain. I guess like when I die and my life flashes before my eyes, I'm going to see that because it made me realize that in America, anything is possible if you, work hard and if you collaborate and if you're, if you're honest.
That's completely well said. And we're almost out of time. We're going to end this show with a video, a kid president. There's a little kid out there that does some inspirational speaking. For our viewers, we're gonna pop that up on the screen. But I want to just thank you for the work that we've been doing collaboratively over the years, because it was just a natural thing. To work together Thanksgiving morning during the pandemic, bringing people together. We get lost in the racial divide here sometimes. We have to put that aside because that's not what it's all about. It's all about bringing people together out of love. And I think that you, in touch with all the community members that you're working with, is inspiration. And I can't wait till tomorrow's over, because then we're gonna have you back in office. Continue to do what you do.
Exactly. And then we could just work on government because,
That's right.
I love politics, but, it's really, our country is so divided.
Right.
And we need to, slow down and stop with the rhetoric and actually talk about what is happening to our country and trying to move it forward. So, look forward to November 9th.
That's right. And one last thing, what will you tell the voters right now to walk away with tonight going into the polls tomorrow?
Yeah, so for those who live within the 22nd Assembly District, I encourage you to vote for myself and other individuals on row A, the Democratic Party, because, you know, we are fighting for communities and bread and butter issues. And if you don't live within the 22nd Assembly District, I tell you, just go out and vote. This is a privilege that has been given to us, and it's a right that we deserve, and you have to participate. It's important you go out and you vote, your voice is heard. And, you know, it's easy. You know, next year you could early vote if you haven't voted. But this year you could go out on election day and get your voice, you know, active in government. And, you know, it doesn't end on election day. Participate with your elected officials throughout the whole year. But know that, you know, there are many changes happening in government, and there are people advocating for you, including myself and my other colleagues.
Well, God bless you, your entire staff, your family. You're a wonderful mentor and role model. And Kid President's going to take us home. How's that?
Yay! Thank you again. Thank you to the chapters rep.
There are lots of ideas how you can change the world. Some people think you should just complain about it. That won't change the world. You'll just make it mad. Some people think you have lots of money, making it rain everywhere you go. Holla for $1. Some people think you have to be really loud and yell a lot. It's like with a bullhorn shouting, "Hey you, yeah you, do it my way right now, you heard?" Other people choose to just make fun of everything. That's dumb, everyone's dumb. It's easier to make fun of stuff, but it's cooler to make stuff. Some people think changing the world can only be done by the smartest person in the world. Just put them in a room, let them figure it out. The solution of world hunger? Food. Wow, that was like so amazing. Some people see the bad in the world and they just decide to ignore it. But that won't help anything. Some people think you have to be really famous and super cool. In fact, lots of people think you have to be really powerful to make a difference. Like being mayor or senator or president. But the truth is, a title doesn't make you more important. The world is changed by you. It's one person filled with love. And they just have to live it out, so they do something awesome. Then that person is filled with love, and they do something awesome. It just goes on and on and on and on. And the next thing you know, everything's awesome. Some people think it's impossible to change the world.
It's impossible to change the world.
Well, you can see why they could think that. Living in the world with kids who are hungry, people who are homeless, families who aren't happy. I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else, man. But I do know this, though. Next time you feel overwhelmed or totally alone, remember this. Things don't have to be the way they are. The world is changed by ordinary people. Little people living out big love. And that's what gives the world a reason to dance.